letting you schedule a new stream. We tricked that train this time. The train always comes through whenever we're streaming. And only when we're streaming. First time I've heard it since last week when we were streaming. It's weird.
Well, it's live now, but the only problem is it's not through the scheduled one. Minicams doesn't go through the scheduled one. When you start minicams, it wants to start a whole new stream. It doesn't use the scheduled one.
Huh. Well, oh well. People will just figure it out, I guess. While it's going, you want to see if we can, well, we don't know if we want to mess with the audio or not. Maybe see if we can get those two to sync. But so we are. Is it, can you tell, Grant, if it's working for you? We have audio.
Yep.
Just not the road audio. But maybe we can figure that out. That was pretty straightforward, getting those mics to sync. It's real simple. Just have to do it in a certain order. And then once you do it once, it's done. You don't have to do it each time. I only had to do it when I first got the thing. Last time. Nice. It's working. Cool.
It is, yeah.
Alright. Alright, well I guess we'll hopefully people find the link or just show up at the channel. So the issue was that Minicam won't use the link that you provide for YouTube?
Well, you know, when we schedule it, I guess it saves our key or whatever, and I don't know how I don't know if it starts on at 2:30 or we start it, but when I went into Minicam and told it to start the stream, it starts a whole new. It doesn't even see that we have on schedule. Unless there's a way to do that. I don't know. I think once we get back and start doing some more reading, I'm gonna move away from it.
Yeah. What about just the, what was the reason we didn't just use the Blackmagic software to stream straight to YouTube?
I think we were having those locking up issues, but I can't remember if that was before we hardwired or not, or before you got the internet upgrade.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure it was before that. Alright. Well, so we are going right now. So if anyone's watching, I'll try to give a couple of minutes before I get too far into the tattoo, or talking about the tattoo. I'll try to give a minute or two to see if people find the stream, since we had to switch it to a new stream key. But I'm Jake. This is the Fireside Tattoo Network. If you haven't been here before, we're a tattoo education show, and we just started doing these live streams. This is the third or fourth one. We're trying to do them weekly. I'm just trying to get used to the technology, but normally what we do is artist interviews and kind of how-to videos on YouTube to try to help tattooers become better problem solvers, better picture drawers, stuff like that. So if you are here and have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat bar and Scott will read them out loud and I'll do my best to answer them. Cool. Good deal. Hopefully folks can find it. So if we've got a few folks.
Somebody's a return guest, or they said no booty.
No booty today, that's right. Unfortunately. Our first, I don't know if I told you that, Grant, but our first live stream, or one of the first, got taken down. They let us live stream it, but then the replay they took down because I was tattooing a thigh and there was too much booty showing. So it did get flagged. So I'll tell you guys about this piece. This is actually one of the cooler pieces that I'm working on, so I'm glad we got to stream this one. Obviously a full color sleeve here. Today this is day 2 in a row. This is the second day in a row. We've worked on the piece several times, but we worked yesterday. This is Grant. We worked yesterday and today. And yesterday we did all of this inner arm stuff. Is that in? Here on me. You'll switch back over. So yesterday we did this upper kind of inner arm and all the way around the back. Most of this other stuff is healed, and then today we started working on this kind of forearm on the lion, and it's a cool piece. I'm playing a lot with color. What I've done is I've gone through and done just kind of a color wash over most of the entire piece, and so I'm going to finish today. I'll finish all of the color wash, and then I'll come back and I'll start sculpting more saturated color. There's a lot going on in the piece, and I was trying to separate it by like temperature and using a lot of color contrast to separate it, so it didn't turn into a big crazy like a congestion of stuff, you know. So what I did is I kind of on this upper arm, you can't see the upper arm all that well, but if you lean down a little bit, maybe they can. On the upper arm, we've got a lot of the warmer tones, and then as that comes down into this figure is kind of this Viking warrior who's been through. Sorry, I'm spitting. It's been through this it's this Viking warrior who's been through all of this kind of struggle. So I wanted the background to be pretty chaotic. A lot of the forest elements come into life. You can't see those all that well from this angle, I'm sure, but there's like trees and things that are kind of coming to life and becoming monsters, and these kind of like volcanic rock formations and stuff. And I wanted all that stuff to be really warm, and then I want him to have come through the other side was the idea. And he's got this he's got this branch that he took from the forest that is that's like glowing, that's on fire, that's kind of like kind of like a guiding light, and then also like this token that helps him to kind of remember the struggle that he went through. And then I changed the color pretty drastically, so I'm doing this the flame as in greens, and then I'm gonna have it glow with greens and yellows up onto the figure, and then the shadows of the figure will be more purple. I've just kind of washed all that in right now. What is this? This area is several months healed. So I'll just kind of wash that in for now. And then in the immediate foreground, he has this, we have these ravens on his inner arm, and this tiger that represents kind of his son that he's kind of like brought through with him. And originally what I was going to do was go with like warms, like reds and stuff up here, and then into yellows here, and then straight into blues here. And then what I started thinking was, if I did the lion all in blues, I was thinking about when he's wearing like a 3/4 sleeve shirt or whatever, you're just seeing the forearm. I didn't want it to be just all blue, so I started playing with it last night, doing a little bit of a color study, and I've got it where now I've got like quite a bit. I'm kind of introducing all the color from these other elements down into the lion at the bottom. Overall, he'll still be pretty blue and green, but his face, I wanted to introduce some like burnt oranges and stuff like that. So yeah, it's from a color standpoint, it's pretty like ambitious. I usually use a much more limited color palette than this, but for this one, I decided to push my boundaries a little bit. And I'm happy with it. It's super. I mean, I think that it's gonna. It kind of has a Steve Moore, Teresa Sharp kind of look to me, where it's got a lot of that like really kind of aggressive, crazy kind of color combinations. So just kind of blend up from some of these blues into some more kind of green blues, and lay out the lion. I'm trying to layer the way that I drew it's very stylized, so I'm trying to layer the different the different layers of his mane to to break the shapes up or to introduce new shapes. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. So if anyone has questions, feel free to ask.
Just comment so far that it looks good.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
And someone said, "You limited color palette?" Put a smiley face.
Yeah. Well, it may not seem like it, but I don't go quite as crazy normally as I did with this one. This is it's a lot of different colors in one tattoo. But I am trying to keep them, you know, like boxed into different areas. So like all the background is pretty much warm, and all the foreground is pretty much cool, which is kind of backwards from a lot of, you know, normally warm colors come forward and cool colors recede. So I kind of had to, so I kind of reversed that for this piece. But I'm just, you know, pushing contrast as much as I can in each area, and trying to, you know, even if I've got more cool in the foreground, it's like sharper edges in the foreground and more value contrast. And I am not using the Numa today because it's so loud in the camera. So I was using it leading up to now, but I switched over. And I'm using the ink machines now because it's so much quieter. Roll you just a little bit here. Is anyone else working on anything fun today? I assume if you're, well, they may be tattooing and watching this show. Who knows? You could do that. I was tattooing and watching Tiny Desk concerts all morning, so it's entirely possible.
There's a compliment for you and Ty. You guys are color magicians.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, Ty's doing some crazy, crazy stuff with color these days. He's really been pushing it.
Interesting stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. I haven't looked to see if he's put out anything new, any new videos. He got this crazy nice camera set up. He actually passed through Memphis on his way. He's moved back to Austin. He passed through and stopped at my house and looked at our setup because he was thinking about, or he was planning to, like, you know, try to work on his channel. And I recommended, I wrote down everything I thought he should get as like for starter equipment that wouldn't be too crazy expensive, and he threw it all out the window and bought all the most expensive stuff that they make.
In true time.
That's right.
And by now he's probably bought 3 of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he bought a, you know, $5,000 camera, and then and now since then he's bought an $8,000 and a $13,000, and he only uses them once a month probably. No, that's not true. That's what he does with tattoo machines. He buys all the new tattoo machines and just goes ape shit with them for a little while, and then puts them down and moves on to something else. Which is what makes him such a good reviewer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's speaking from experience.
Yeah. Yeah, if he has something to say about a machine, it's because he has used it enough to know. When I first met him, I was using just the Cheyenne pen, the first, or I guess the first generation of the Cheyenne pen, and doing everything with it, and it blew his mind that was what I used for everything. He thought it was just the worst machine, terrible for lines, terrible for solid color. He was like, I don't know how you. And then every time we would see each other, and I was still using it, he would say, "Is that the same machine?" And be like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I've never seen one run that long. The motor's always burned up." Like, what? What are you talking about? But to his point, it was like I used that machine for like 5 years probably, and not many people use the same pen machine for 5 years and it still runs. Especially with those, I never like greased it or oiled it or did anything to it, and I think it still runs. I don't really use it anymore, but as far as I know, still going strong.
Got some agreements on the loud new.
Yeah, man.
I got 2 and they're loud.
Yeah, and it's like loud. It's really not as loud in real life as it sounds like through this microphone on this camera. It's just so loud through that. It's nuts. But I have been using it for the first, I don't know, for the first hour or so of this piece, doing all of my. I've got it set up with a little 3 or 5 liner, and I was using it for a lot of the like wispy stuff, a lot of the points of the of the mane of the hair and stuff on the tiger. So and it's awesome for that. So good for getting really clean lines. Alright, let's see here. So now I've got this transition. All these like dusty blues I washed in the first time. All this stuff is completely healed and settled in. The bird, I put a wash of like a purplish gray in that bird. I didn't get to this one, but all this stuff is nice and it's like settled in, and you can tell, I don't know how well you can tell, but it's just kind of washed in. I didn't really pack it in super heavy because I wanted to be able to manipulate it, but now I need to transition it into the mane of the lion. I got this hair, and I don't know if I want to make like a soft transition or if I want it to be really abrupt. I haven't decided that yet, but it's a decision that I need to make kind of now. so there's that. But I've been doing that a lot lately. Instead of packing a lot of color with, especially with pieces where I like, where I'm going to have multiple color sessions anyways, I've just been kind of washing all my color in just to see what it looks like in that person's skin. Like these, the grays and yellows that I washed into the figure here, I want the figure to really stand out and glow. So this flame is like lighting him from the bottom. So like almost all of his fur of his jacket and his beard are almost completely washed out. So I kind of just washed this light yellow and lime green in there. And I realized that I don't think it's gonna stand out super bright. So I'm gonna punch the grays to more of a purple so that just as a compliment, so that the yellow really stands out a lot more. But I tend to see that stuff better once I like wash it in and then see it healed. So that's what I've been doing a lot lately. If it was a piece that only had one color session, I wouldn't do that. But I knew this was going to be one that we had to work on for a while. So I thought I would just do a wash, see how it all settled, and then make it more solid. Am I in the frame? Yeah. That's actually a really good shot. It looks good. Let me move back just slightly. The thing I've found the hardest with these live streams, it seems like, is keeping the tattoo from glaring really bad in the camera, just because of the shininess of the tattoo or the ointment or whatever. And it doesn't seem like it's doing that. Especially since what makes it even worse is the number of lights that I have in my studio. I'm such a baby when it comes to lights. I have to have a dozen of them. I don't want any shadows from any angle, so I end up with light kind of coming everywhere, which can cause trouble with the camera for sure. I was thinking of getting one of those like CPL, those polarizing filters like everyone uses for their tattoo photos, and putting it on my actual film camera, or not film camera, but these Alpha series cameras. I haven't done that, but I guess I could do that and it would knock back the glare, I think. I have one of those for my iPhone, and it's awesome to knock back glare. If you guys are asking questions, Scott's walked away, so he'll read them when he gets back. He's probably pooping. So Grant here has been my friend and client for a long time. He's one of my longest running clients, I think. I first tattooed Grant probably, would you say, close to 20 years ago? It's got to be getting close.
Yeah, it was 2002.
2002, yeah, 19 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Loyal client, that's right. Yeah, so this was a fun piece. His other arm is all black and gray, and it's kind of pieced together, and a lot of it is black and gray that I did back in the earlier 2000s. And my drawing style was so much different. We were trying to squeeze as much information as we could, which I guess I did in this one too, but I wasn't thinking as much back then about how the simple shapes worked. I was just like, he has like angels, cherubs, different things like that, and so the way that they're all laid out is more kind of a traditional tattoo layout, I would say, which is not the way that I tattoo as much these days. And so we're going to go through when this one's done and just tie everything together. So I think I'll probably try to film some of that, just because I think it'll be cool to see how I can like simplify, like take existing tattoos and simplify them so that the big shapes work well. All right, moment of truth. What do I do with these? With this edge, this area right there.
You pick.
I was hoping you had an idea. Let's see. Maybe I will. Man, I do like that dusty blue. I don't think I have that out though. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can make it out of a couple of these other blues. Does anyone know what will make a blue dustier? Orange. Orange will do it. Does anyone know why? Because they're complements. See how it's got dusty? I took a straight blue. Look how dusty that is. Color theory at work. Because they're complements, so they're on opposite sides of the color wheel. So if you want to make an orange not quite as bright, you can dip it in a little blue and it'll make it more of a burnt orange. Likewise, if you have like a really bright blue, you want to make it not quite as bright, neutralize it a little bit, you can dip it in a little bit of orange and it grays out just a little or neutralizes a little.
People saying hello, aloha.
Hello? Hey everybody.
No wireless today?
No, I was wireless with this thing earlier. I don't know what it is with the with this machine and the wireless, but I'm getting like a it's losing connection with the battery for some reason. I don't know why. I just noticed it. I noticed it yesterday, not today. I was working on Grant's upper arm yesterday, and every time I would turn, it's like, and the battery is locked on pretty tight to the RCA. It's not loose or anything, but I would just lose connections for split seconds. So while I'm figuring out what caused that, I thought I would just plug up.
Folks are asking if we could zoom in just a touch. and see
Okay.
if
All right. Yeah, I can. Yeah, maybe we'll get some advice on what we should do with this little tuft of hair as it connects. I'll wipe everything down and see if we can look and reason our way through it. Let me get a little soap. All right. So. All right. So I've got the lion here has all the colors in the rainbow. It has everything in it, and it's still got wait. It's still got more to go, but I stopped for a minute. So I've got all these kind of like deep turquoises going into purples, like my darkest darks here, kind of straight purples, and then I kind of mixed it into some of these same greens that are in this flame up here. And then I just pulled the burnt oranges and stuff into his head, and I'll pull it into his body. His body kind of goes back this way. But as it wraps around, see where it kind of ends right here. I've got these kind of dustier blues. Maybe I should just, let's see. So I've got, I mean, I don't want it to stand out, but I do like all those little wispy shapes right there. So I don't want to lose them. I wonder if I pulled the burnt orange over there, because it looks like this is more kind of a greenish, but see how that looks, because it's irritated, it looks a little bit brownish or orangish. Maybe I could take this and just pull it up that way and just let it get a little more orangey. I just don't want it to go from teal and purple straight to this other blue. I think I want something to stand out, because we've got this band of green, this band of the dusty blue, and then all these teals. What's everyone think?
No advice on that yet. We are on a little bit of a
On a lag.
30-second delay.
All right.
But
give them.
Based on your other stuff, they said, I prefer non-wireless on color days because I can use the foot switch when dipping and mixing colors, just finding it faster with a foot switch.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. But I keep my foot switch on constant, not momentary, so I just click it and it stays on. But that is nice that you can like click it again and turn it off to dip in your inks if you want, especially when the inks get a little bit low and you're afraid you're gonna bottom out into the bottom of the cap, which I've been known to do a time or two. All right, let's see. So let me go ahead. I started to make this transition. Obviously, it was last time. I started to make this transition to a more green right there. I'm gonna go back over that with a little more of a blue. I don't mind it going to green, but not that abruptly.
I'm not going to take this shot just yet. I'm just curious how close it is.
What are you gonna do? Oh, try to
Just
see if you can get a handheld kind of close up.
Just yet, but I just want to see.
If you can get close enough. I don't really need that lamp if you want to pull it out of the way so you can get closer. It doesn't matter to me.
Do you don't need the iPad?
I don't really need the iPad now, not right now. I kind of know what I've got all my color pretty well figured out, except for this little tuft of hair right here, which isn't on my iPad
Yeah, I was
anyway.
going to say, that's...
I didn't solve that problem on my iPad. It's really not that big of a problem, but all right, that is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this color from the face of the face, and just lay it in back here. See what I get. It shouldn't look too crazy because it's not a new color. It's already a color that's in the lion. I'm just going to introduce it right here at the bottom, and if I don't like it, I can still get rid of it. Maybe. Let's see. I'm just going to introduce it right here at the top, and if I don't like it, I can still get rid of it. How many times can I say that until I can't get rid of it anymore? Because it does still have, I mean, I dipped in the straight kind of brown, but it did still have a little blue in the cartridge, so it's kind of graying out a little bit. It may not be bad. So I've got so much irritation in these greens that I can't really tell how green they are. Let me see if I can put a little back teen on there and knock that back a little bit. Let's see. See, like all of these colors. My first thought was all these colors are the ones that need to go in here, but I kind of already have that color. See, right over here. All right.
There's a couple suggestions. Doesn't have to stand out. That part's not real important. It can blend into the background. So
Yep.
it says bright turquoise, add white
Yeah.
to your teal.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not. I mean, it's not a focal point. It's the back edge of the thing. But I just kind of wanted to see something that's transition, and I could always do it just with line. I mean, I could just do it like you're saying in turquoise or just one of the colors that a soft color I'm already using, and just make the lines a little bolder. I just like the way it kind of finishes, like in front of and behind the leaves. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I didn't want to just completely lose it. But yeah, it's not. You're absolutely right. It's not like a focal point. So shouldn't be something we're trying to make glow or anything. I just want it to be noticeable. All right. Go back to my turquoise, and I think going forward we're going to try to do an ink cam some too, so we can kind of we'll have like a third camera angle, so you can kind of see what colors I'm using, what I'm dipping in. I always like that whenever, especially with painters and stuff, seeing like what their palette looks like when if they have a like picture-in-picture kind of thing, and I can see what they're mixing. Of course, most of the time with painters, they're just like they just start and then everything on their palette looks like mud, and they're just mixing different piles of mud together. But what'd you think about that, Scott? Is it any good as a handheld or not really any better?
Just the angle I'm at.
It's kind of.
Oh,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I mean, what you had now looks good. I was just messing around.
Yeah. So this tattoo also. Someone have something to say? I thought you were about to say something. So this tattoo is a good example of like some of the podcast series that we've been working on now, these kind of illustrative series where we're trying to tell stories through the tattoos. And I was thinking about that, like some of the discussions I'd had with those other tattooers like Teresa and Nick and those folks whenever I was laying this piece out, just trying to think of kind of like how to, like what all kind of imagery can be different, like not the most obvious thing you would think of, and still represent the point that the idea that Grant was trying to get across. So of course he had the idea of the Viking and the lion. The way we thought about him, like originally he was fighting kind of like these creatures or demons or something in the forest, and so then I just decided that the forest itself, rather than adding another element, I thought the forest itself might be the best way to, like the forest coming to life. And I actually got that from, I don't know if you can lean down enough, you can kind of get an idea of the forest coming to life. So if you guys can see this kind of like tree creature with a tongue and stuff coming out of it. Is that is that in the shot? So like stuff like this, being like the kind of stuff that he's been fighting, and this piece up here, which is hard to see, it's kind of washed in, this kind of big monster that's like coming from trees and roots and things like that. And where I got this stuff was from, where the idea came from was, I was looking at Peter Moorbacher's illustrations. And he had this, like, it wasn't like a mean tree, but he had this big kind of looming tree person. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to just make the trees themselves or the forest itself be the thing that he's been fighting, rather than having to add another element. So in last week's episode, when Andy Chambers was talking about things that make a tattoo like exceptional to him, that was one of the ideas in this one that I was like, that's what sets it apart. We're just hoping to make it exceptional, like Andy's tattoos. We haven't gotten there yet, but we will. Background color, and we'll use line to pull it all back out. So I'm going to pull from those kind of brown colors that I started to introduce, and I just dipped it in a little bit of mint, so I'll go from the brown colors to the mint. Has anyone said where they're watching from today? Normally people are like, hey, from Australia.
It was a little hot, but I don't know if that was just
Yeah. away from this stuff for a minute and start working on these birds, and we'll let all this stuff settle. I've been working so much with these little round configurations and all this hair that it's getting a little angry at me.
Oh, let's see. Super quiet. How fast are you running the machine? Here's a couple questions.
Okay, I'm running this at 7.2 volts right now.
This is someone else. I have a question. Sometimes when I tattoo, the needle feels like it's stuck. The needle feels like it's stuck briefly, so I pull out. What could it be?
Like it's
Someone
like,
said maybe you're snagging the skin.
yeah, is that what they mean? Like stuck in the tube or stuck in the skin? Yeah, I mean, if it feels like it's stuck as you're tattooing, like you're hanging up in the skin, then you probably are. And a lot of times it could be hanging your needle too far out, so it's not retracting all the way back into the tube, or it could just be a super long throw. Like if you've, like with this machine, I don't know if this is focusing on it or not, but see, I don't know if you can tell how far out I'm able to push. Is that in focus at all? Can't really see it that well, can you? Let's see if I can put this behind it. So, I mean, you know, I can throw that needle way out there, and depending on how fast I'm moving my hand and how fast I am, how hard I'm running the machine, but that would be better thing. So depending on how fast I move my hand, if I'm running a needle with that much throw, like it's slinging way out there, and I'm moving my hand quickly or not running the machine super fast, and I can easily kind of hang up or snag in the skin. So I typically, you know, I try not to run run the needle super far out, unless sometimes when I'm lining, I like to work off the tip of the needle, but when I'm filling or shading like this, I'm really close to the tube. I'm not trying to work off the tip of the needle too much. But yeah, that's definitely something you'll want to pay attention to, because that can turn into a disaster if you're not careful.
Built off of that, looked like a few people were chatting back and forth about
Good.
that.
Yeah, there are plenty of folks that can help you with that.
She said she was going to look up what that meant. Wasn't her English isn't her first language. She was going to see what's snagging the skin there. Fly.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
See, it could be, too short of a stroke, or machine running too slow.
Or I would say too long, not too short, but too long of a stroke. Yeah. Or not. I mean, the stroke and that's the thing. The stroke and the distance the needle is hanging out are kind of two different things. The stroke is the total length that the needle is traveling, but you can adjust where the needle starts from with a lot of these rotaries. Like I can turn this dial in the back of the machine, and the needle will sit at different points inside the tube, so I can run it all the way out, and the stroke hasn't changed. It's still traveling the same distance. It's just starting closer to the tip of the tube, so it seems like so it is throwing further out. So that's one thing that's easy that seems confusing or can be confusing, is the difference between stroke and like needle depth. So we've talked about that. If anyone cares to go back and watch the Carson Hill series that we did, we get into that kind of stuff quite a bit.
Got a bunch of check-ins.
From where?
Vancouver,
Nice.
Canada, Atlanta, Cleveland, Ohio, Mexico, Germany, Brazil,
Sweet.
Daytona, Lafayette, Indiana, North Sea oil rig,
North Sea oil rig. Oh shit.
California, all over the place. Lithuania.
Huh. Sweet. Hey, what kind of internet service do you have at North Sea oil rig? Pretty solid? Yeah, that's awesome. Seems like there's been someone from Brazil on every, and maybe even Germany, I don't know, but someone from Brazil on every live stream.
Brazil, definitely, yeah. That's where
We're huge in Brazil, Scott. I don't know if you knew that. We're like Hasselhoff. No, he wasn't big in Brazil. Where was he big? Germany?
Germany, yeah. He was a national treasure.
Yeah. So I've got these. I've had to learn like how to use these cartridges. I ordered these cartridges are from Maverick Tattoo Supply, and it was my first order from them. If you heard me say this last week, then sorry. But This is their, I think, an 11 round, and it's their 11 tight round. And man, it is tight. So when you're trying to fill, like I am right now with it, you got to be pretty careful and pay attention to the skin, because you chew it up pretty fast. And I've been using it all day on your outer arm. I'm sure you can feel that. It's like it just gets it's just so tight. It just gets in there so fast. So I am kind of working off the tip of the needle, I guess, a little bit more with this, just because of the how tightly it's packed.
Is this Scorpion?
Nice.
That's
This is the Scorpion, yeah. Yeah, this is the Scorpion from Ink Machines. They have a new Scorpion out. And like I was saying earlier, I was using the Numa today. I love both of these machines. I use the Scorpion a good bit and the Numa. And I was using the Numa earlier, but when we started the live stream, I switched to use this one because the Numa's just too loud. We were gonna set up, I've got some lav mics that we were gonna test, but we were just running a little bit behind today. But if the lav mics work, then I'll feel better about using that machine. But the one time we did try to live stream with it, it was crazy loud. So.
Bearded Cat, who was with us the other day,
Oh, yeah.
checked in from Bulgaria.
Nice. How's it going, Bearded Cat? Yeah, he was asking or chiming in a lot last week. Or she. He. I assume it's a he. Just because it's bearded, but I don't know.
And had Walter White.
Oh, man. I do love Breaking Bad.
And then Rune, who's living life on the oil rigs at satellite internet.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Huh. So how much time do you spend on an oil rig before you get to I guess you live on it for a while?
Yeah, someone asked what it's like. He said living on the oil rig's okay. Most of the time it's been working and sleeping.
Yeah. So does he tattoo as well, or just interested in tattooing? It's always interesting.
And, someone asked, what are the early signs that you're scarring the skin? I get worried making multiple passes, never know which pass is going to leave a scar.
Well, I mean, you want to paying attention to how long it's bleeding and how swollen it is. So, like, look, we were working. I was talking about this area getting worked over here, and so I moved away from it because I was using that small needle configuration. But if you look at it, it's not bleeding anymore. There's a little bit of like caked up goo, but I was working over here 5 minutes ago or something like that. And can you see how like the skin, it's worked obviously, and there's lime greens in here and there's red under it. I mean, the skin is irritated, but it looks consistent. Nothing in the skin looks textured or chewed up at all. And that's what I always look for. It's like everyone's skin behaves a little bit differently, but I always look to just make sure that it looks consistent, because the chances of you like chewing up and scarring the whole thing, this much space, is pretty slim. What you'll find is like this one area just keeps bleeding, or it looks almost like kind of chewed up or textured, kind of like it has a hole or something in it, and that's when you know to kind of get away from it. And most of the time you can still save it. I mean, it's hard. Well, I don't want to say hard. It's not you're just going to instantly have a huge scar. You might have a hard heal. It may stay shiny for a long time. You may have to give it 6 months before you can go back into it. That kind of stuff is a lot more common than some like crazy scar that you can't do anything with. So yeah, I always just look to make sure that it looks consistently worked and that it kind of quits bleeding in a reasonable period of time. And don't be afraid just to get away from an area, especially like I just did with this area. Especially when you're using a lot of these light colors. Like, are we back on this shot? A lot of these light colors, those kind of like these glowing greens and stuff like that, and you can still see it. It's been 10 or 15 minutes, and you can still see the irritation through the green. Like that green it doesn't look solid when it's in the skin. You see the redness and the splotchiness of the skin. So be slow and methodical, get it in there, and then just get away from it and let it sit for a little while and see what it looks like. You don't have to like pack all over it. You don't have to get it all done at once. So. And I do wipe with straight Bactine, so that's why a lot of times my tattoos tend to look, not too worked or not too red, because I'm just wiping with straight Bactine all the time. I barely use soap, unless it's like, unless I'm finished with an area and it's super gunky. Because I mean, like, see, even this is all gunky and bloody right now, but Bactine wipes it off as well. So, and pushes the swelling down. Fireside, brought to you by Bactine. So one thing that I, when I'm like, in this bird, I'm using mostly these kind of purples in the shadow shapes, but I try to be careful not to use the same, like purple, for example, all the way through. I try to switch it up a little bit, and I'll have like a purple, and then I'll have like a warmer purple, and then this more of a lavender or something, and then I'll like a grape purple, and then I'll have one that's more of like a ultramarine kind of purple. And then I'll mix them back with blues and pinks and stuff like that in different ways, so that I get this kind of like, so it does, just to keep some interest in it, so it's not just like all one purple in the shadows all the way through. So like I'll use the purple one purple right here, and then maybe on the underside of the wing I'll use a darker one, and then maybe as it moves back I'll use a more muted gray one, but they're all still purple, but but I'm changing them up as I go. I do that just so that they look more interesting. They all read the same color, but they just look more interesting. So yeah, so this is a different purple, you might be able to tell, than this. So I'll maybe grab that same purple. Let me see. So I'm gonna go same purple, and I'm gonna dip it in a little bit of this what they call dried blood. It's a eternal color that is awesome to make anything darker, any color darker. It's great for it. Okay, so I'll go down here, and maybe I'll use that purple. It's like a ultramarine kind of purple, deeper purple with that dried blood. And it gets like this shiny kind of like purpley black, almost like a super deep purpley black. Whereas this purple up here leans a little bit more towards red. It's more of a grape kind of purple. I just think that's one way, especially if like all your tattooing is the bird, like if all we were doing was this one bird, I would really pay close attention to that, so I don't just end up with a flat kind of, flat color all the way through. All right, so I went with that really dark purple, and then now I dipped into the more kind of like reddish purple, the more grape purple as it blends up. And we'll go from dark to light. You can't tell it too much now, we should be able to tell it more when it heals, or when it settles in a few minutes. It's also over the top of gray, which makes a big difference, but if, especially if I didn't have the gray work already in there. Let's see how you can tell that purple is different than these purples.
Hey guys, great work, great channel. Besides the round shaders, are you using normal magnums or soft edge magnums, and why?
I'm using soft edge magnums right now, is what I was using in this piece. I've been using soft edge magnums more and more, not for any real reason other than I feel like I can get they leave a softer, obviously they're soft mags, they leave a softer edge, so I don't end up when I'm filling with a mag, I don't end up with that like hard line at the end of my color, and I can kind of like more easily blend it out into another color. The downside to it is you can't as easily turn it up on its edge and work off the corner of it like you can a traditional mag. But I've gotten to where I guess because I use those soft mags so much now, I haven't been doing that much anyways. I've been using these round shaders to get into tighter spots, and it hasn't really bothered me. So maybe I'll stick with the curved mags going forward. I used to really use the outer edge of the traditional mag to get like in corners like what I'm doing right here, this corner, I would just turn it up on its edge and work off the corner of the mag. I did that for years, and it hasn't really, I guess it really hasn't bothered me not having that. Alright, so now I'm good. Okay.
Somebody said, do you use numbing creams on bigger color pieces? They've been told that it can soften the skin.
I don't use numbing creams personally. I use the Bactine that I'm using is just it's antiseptic, like cleaner. I don't use anything. I don't put anything on the skin before I tattoo it. And the Bactine really only starts working to help numb after the skin is broken and as you use it. So like right now working in, this is a newer area, so I'm sure this is a little bit sharper than like say if we went back over to this area where I've been wiping with Bactine and the skin's all open. But yeah, I don't use the creams all that much. I do have a few clients that come in with them on already, and I try to wipe them off and get them clean. The thing that I notice with them is like the skin will be so red and splotchy with any of them, whether they're like, whether they're meant for tattooing or not. It's like the skin will be beet red and splotchy a lot of times. So usually what I'll do is I'll clean it really well and then just let it sit while I set up, let it sit for 15, 20 minutes. I typically don't have a lot of trouble with them healing, but they definitely look bad. The skin looks bad with those things. But they obviously work. People love them.
Bearded Cat earlier said, I'm considering buying the course pretty early in my career. I'm mainly focused on color, but I'd like to focus on drawing so I can get more diverse in black and gray. So
oh, yeah.
Be a good thing to do.
Yeah, you should definitely, man. And check out our new course isn't out yet, the Simplify, but it's by far the best thing I think that we've put together because it relates to tattooing. Our original course, Fireside Foundations, it's good. It's a drawing course, but it doesn't spend a lot of time relating it to tattooing. And Simplify is like a full-on drawing for tattoos kind of course. And the thing with Simplify is when you get it, we'll shoot you an invite to our kind of private Discord group, and then we'll kind of work on each other's drawing. So I'll try to take time each week, jump on the Discord group and try to help out. So you could like do the assignments, upload the drawings, and then I'll hop on, hopefully along with other people who are going through the course, and we'll all see if we can jump on and help each other out. So that should be cool. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be out next month. It's all filmed. We're just putting it all together and trying to make it as like simple as it can be. The problem I have with courses is that I buy them and they're like 9 modules long and 14 hours and I never get through them. And it's not the fault of the person who did it. It's just that I don't have the stick-to-itiveness to sit through a 14-hour course, like to sit down and watch it every single night. And so I'm trying, my goal with this one was to like get the information out there as quickly and like easily as I could, and then all the work or all the learning comes from actually doing the projects and jumping in on the Discord group and working together rather than just sitting and watching a video.
Sean wants to know, does the Ink and Alchemy series cover stuff like holistic wellness and mental health? Know of any tattoo workshops, interviews, podcasts that address this stuff?
Yeah.
Probably lots of tattooers in recovery. Yeah, there is, right?
Yeah, that Ink and Alchemy, my interview, I haven't seen the other ones yet, or listened to them yet. The lady who did it, Chelsea, super cool. I really liked her a lot. We didn't focus a ton on that type of thing in my interview, but I know that some of the people that she interviewed that type of like wellness and things like that are their jobs. Like that's what they do. So. Yeah, I would check that series out. I'm looking forward to it. I was going to listen to it on our way on the flight up to the Paradise Gathering next week on the plane. Try to listen to some of them. I really liked her. She was, I think this is her first interview style series. I think she's a tattooer from Canada. This is her first interview kind of series that she put together, and she was a complete natural. I mean, she just she was really easy to talk to, and she didn't stumble over her words like I do. Way better than me. But yeah, I liked her.
Bearded Cat was saying, so you suggest the Simplify course for drawing, and then says, is there an enrollment deadline and limiting spots?
No, everyone's going to go through it on their own. So it's not going to be like a live thing. You get the course, and you can get it whenever. It'll be available. So it's not going to be like a workshop where we all meet at the exact same time and do the same things. The course is filmed, and so you'll watch a video and you'll get an assignment, and then whenever you get the assignment, you do the assignment, you upload it to our Discord group, and then we'll jump in and help you just on whatever assignment it is that you're on. So most likely what's going to happen is there's always going to be someone that's 4 assignments behind someone else, and what I'm hoping is that those people will actually help the people that are just starting, like the people who are on assignment 4 or halfway through the course will be helpful to the people who are on assignment 1. And my hope is that that's what, like, we can just perpetuate that and it keeps working that way. And that's what I'm going to try to do. But I'm going to get on there and try to kind of facilitate that as much as I can. And I've got a few folks who have been longtime Fireside like listeners and followers that I'm going to try to rope into coming on and being like moderators and helping out.
Oscar wants to know if you find with that machine, the bigger mags, that it lacks power for bigger mags. So
The Scorpion?
It works nicely with smaller mags, 9 to 13, but when it comes to bigger mags, in his opinion, it lacks the power.
The Scorpion does?
Yeah.
The biggest mags that I use are like 15 curve mags, 13s and 15s. So if you're using like 20 something mags or whatever, you might be right. I don't have any trouble with the ones that I'm trying to push. But you can also tell that like the way that I work a lot, I don't have a real traditional approach. I like to layer color in anyways. So it may be that, I'm not trying to get the like super solid saturation on my first pass most of the time anyways. But yeah, you might be right. I don't know much about this little motor that this thing runs. This is the craziest. This machine looks like a feat of engineering whenever you take it apart. Like, I was showing it to someone I know who's in like the tattoo business, who has an engineering mind, and he thought it was ridiculous. He was like, there are so many things in that machine that can break that are completely unnecessary. Like, it's complete overkill. And just the way that the mechanism works, it's like a little wash plate thing with these. Maybe I'll take it apart towards the end and show you, or you can see it. Just go to look at the Scorpion's website; they've got way better shots of it. But of the internal like parts, there's a lot of stuff in this machine. Yeah, I have. I've had, over the years, like, there probably still are some. I've got little marks and dots in my fingers from catching them. Yeah, I'm not as bad about it now. I used to, clean my needle this way a lot, and now I use these little foam things, whatever they're called. What do you call these things? Dip caps. I use these dip caps a lot because they get it a lot cleaner than a paper towel. And the paper towel, half the time you're just pulling paper towel like bits back into your machine. But I used to have a bad habit of like sitting there and I'm doing this and I'm talking to my client and I just jab myself with it on the return, So literally just like just tattoo the front of my finger. Yeah, about cross contamination. I've done it all. But when I do that, I do jump up and go, wash my hands immediately and all that stuff, and change the needle for the sake of the client. They probably don't want. They probably don't want my my finger goo all over their tattoo. So.
We had a spammer join in there and went nuts for a minute.
Oh, no shit. What were they saying?
Oh, we won't read that.
Oh, okay. Wait, were they trying to sell us on some ladies of the night or gentlemen of the night?
They were
like that?
not.
Oh.
They were an angry.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well,
he's gone.
all right. Yeah. No shortage of those on the YouTubes.
Oh, and I think somebody just joined and asked, is that the Numa 4?
No, I was just telling everyone I was using the Numa 4, but it's so loud when these mics are, when we're live streaming, that you can barely hear what we're talking about. So I switched it out for the Scorpion, the Ink Machine Scorpion, which I really like for solid color. I like the Scorpion for everything except for black and gray. I haven't found a good way to do black and gray with it. Someone I was tattooing with, or not with, but at a convention, it was at a convention with, next to me, was doing really awesome black and gray using the Scorpion. And they like, you can turn the hit, you know, up or down. You can make this a harder or a softer hit just by turning a little dial on the inside here. And they had it set to like, it kind of seemed contradictory to me. They had it set super soft, and we're running it really slow, which to me would like would leave bigger dots, which for really nice black and gray, I want the smallest little dots I can get so that it looks buttery and smooth. So normally with black and gray, most people, like when you use the Bishop and stuff, those things are just like little spinners. They just kind of, they're in and out, you know. There's not really any mechanism, dampening mechanism to let them sit in the skin, because you really want them in and out of the skin so quickly to leave that tiny little dot. But yeah, this dude was using this machine set really soft, and his black and gray tattoos look great. I mean, at least the ones, he wasn't like someone I knew well, so at least the ones that he was working on over the weekend looked really nice. So.
When can I see when the course is coming out?
Is there, there's a link that you can sign up for that I promise is not a spammy link. You can just, you can sign up, and we'll just shoot you an email whenever it's available. I think it'll be within the month, within the next few weeks. Where is that link? It's like,
I think it actually is in the description of this.
Oh,
hold on one second.
Okay, yeah, maybe check the description of this video and see if it's in there. In the video, it's called Foundations 2.0 because originally we didn't know what we were going to call it, or not in the video, on the sign-up sheet, the form, it says sign up for Foundations 2.0. It's actually called Fireside Simplify, but back when we made that, we didn't know what the name of the course was going to be. So I've got this, yeah.
You need to turn.
No, you're good. I'm just, I was thinking about, I was going to start to work towards the background because most of this stuff's going to be a little bit lighter. And I've got the branch that he's standing on. I was wondering, because I've got all these leaves going this way, I may drop another leaf in behind him here. We'll see. I don't want to stop and do a bunch of drawing while people are watching. All right, so now I'm going to go from this purple and mix it down with a little green to neutralize it. Let's see what that does for us. Graze it out.
So Oscar wants to know, the Scorpion mechanism is complicated because it runs two types of cartridges, classic and magnetic, made by machines. Ever had a chance to use the magnetic?
No, Ty Pilata uses those. Mine, I bought this machine from Ty. They look super cool, and Ty loves them. So for people who don't know, they're completely magnetic. They're enclosed, so where these cartridges have a plunger on the back that pushes down, and the plunger, theoretically you could get, there's a membrane in there that keeps ink from coming through it, but there's still a hole in the cartridge. The magnetic ones are just solid, and they use a magnet that goes up and down inside of the machine here that actually attracts the needles and moves them back and forth. So there's no actual, they're not actually touching there's no contact with the cartridge. They're super cool. You do have to change out a couple of pieces in here to go from the magnetic. They're called the Neo carts, from their Neo carts to standard cartridges. And when I bought this, I bought it from Ty Pilata, and he had already changed it out for regular cartridges. He had two of these. He had one set up for Neo carts and one set up for standard cartridges. And I bought this one, and last I saw, he was still using the one with the Neo carts. I would like to, I just don't want to switch it back and forth. He loves those Neo carts, but I don't know much about them. Who was asking? If anyone else has used them, I'd love to get other people's opinion on them, because I really don't know.
Yeah, it was Oscar Rose. He didn't say if he used them, but we'll see if he wants that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea, and they're from stupid train. They're from Sweden. I think they're out of Sweden. And they, so when you order, you have to order everything through them. Like, I use these disposable grips that come from them. And you can't order them from like Kingpin or anything. You have to order them, as far as I know, straight from ink machines. And I was a little nervous, like, because I'm not great about ordering things way in advance. But they're pretty fast for the most part. You order them, and for a while, I don't know if they're doing it now, but for quite a while, it was like $20 for flat 2-day shipping or something like that on any order. So that's not too bad to coming from Sweden and getting it in your hands at your shop in 2 days.
Paul said, "Here's the train. You couldn't do a live stream without."
Yeah, damn it. Why?
Nameless Subscriber wants to know, do tattoo inks mix well like acrylics and other paints? Like if you're trying to make purple with primary colors?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same way.
Yeah. They mix well. I mean, like anything else. I mean, I use a lot of different kind of manufacturers, or ink manufacturers. But some of them are like super creamy, so you have to thin them down a little bit. Some of them are super watery. Just like, I mean, it's no different than like what you're saying with paints, particularly with oil paints. How you have some oil paints where like oil just oozes, like actual oil just oozes straight out of the tube, and then others where you have to almost like gouge it out with a palette knife. Same thing with tattoo inks. They run the gamut of consistency, but for the most part, you can like mix them down. I use you can use like some distilled water, or the most of the ink manufacturers these days use they'll give you like not give you or sell you a mixer. It's like, what is it, like glycerin and distilled water? It's some little mixture that comes in it that I'll just put in an ink cap, and I'll dip in my ink, and then I'll just, if it's a thick creamy ink, I'll just touch into that little mixer, like and it'll thin it out. Come in, let's see. Let's start to get away from these purples and into maybe a little more. I want to get a little more pink, like purples to pink. What do I have over here? I don't have any pinks. Maybe I don't want to go pink. I'm gonna just mix this purple down into something to make it lighter and softer and pinker. This where it goes down into his belly. I was gonna go gray down into the belly, but I don't think I'm going to, because I got a blue background. Everything's cool. I think I'm gonna go pink. So, purple, and I'm going to this like little burnt orange thing. What's that look like? Not very pink. That's wrong. Let's see. Maybe I'll go into a little bit of white and see what happens. Yeah, and here's another thing. I know you can't see the inks, but another thing that happens with all these stupid inks is that they get hard on the top and you have to break through them, which sucks. Yeah, something like that. And back into my purple a little bit, and then back into my red a little bit, and back into my white. Alright, let's see what that does for me.
How does the mixer thin the ink differently than water thins it?
I don't think it thins it any differently. I think that they just, I think it's just like a, it's more like sanitary, I guess, instead. I mean, you could use distilled water, but if you're using just tap water, I don't really know. Let me look at it and tell you. I've asked this question before and I've gotten the answer, but I don't really remember. So let me look and see. Let me tell what's in the mixer that I have. This one comes from Solid Ink. This is it. It looks like water. Okay, so the ingredients are proprietary mix of isopropyl alcohol, witch hazel, leaf water. What the hell is leaf water? That's all I can. My eyes aren't that good. That's tiny. We're writing. There's one other thing in there I can't read. Herminus. I don't know. Yeah, proprietary mix of isopropyl, witch hazel, and leaf water. Let's see. Solid Ink's mixer is great for diluting our super concentrated pigments. Great for thinning colors or making your own gray washes. Shake well. Oh shit, I don't ever shake it. Huh. Now I know. Shake well. Why? What are you shaking? Look, it's like completely, it's just water. All right, I'll start. Shake well, keep in a cool, dry place, away from heat. The mixer, what's it say? Oh, the next part's in another language. Yeah, non-flammable, non-toxic, do not freeze, do not dilute with water. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, this is solids, but I think they all make something like this. Weird, I never considered to shake it up. But look, when you shake it, it does actually bubble up. See? Yeah, something's happening. The only reason I started using it is because I would have never bought it, to be honest, but they send it when you buy like sets of inks, you know. So the Solid ink, the Solid ran a big sale a while back, I guess over a holiday fairly recently, and I bought like their 60 whatever color set, and it came with that. It was like a super good deal, like 40% off. I want to say that I got like $1,000+ set of ink, maybe like 1,200, shipped for like $650 or something. It was pretty cheap. But yeah, anyways, it came with that, with the mixer, and so I just started using it, and that's actually the first time that I've read it, I guess. Yeah, see here, so like I mixed that purple down. I was gonna go gray in the belly, and I still may. I mean, I'm gonna let the lightest part of the belly stay skin tone for now. But I was gonna go gray in the belly, but I mixed that purple with a little like straight red, and then just a little bit of white, and now I've got this kind of fleshy tone that I think transitions out of the purple better, especially if I keep using all these blues as the background comes down. Then it'll just be slightly warmer to stand off.
People talking about different inks and things that they use. I like Fusion, they go in real easy.
Yeah.
And somebody said, Oscar said, I just had a chance to use those cartridges. I can tell that they're really soft and skin damage is minimal, but because of its softness, it takes more time to pack a solid color.
The Neo parts?
I think that's what he must have been talking about. Yeah.
Gotcha. Huh. Yeah, I'd like to try them. I just don't want to switch I don't want to switch my machine back up to try them.
Yep. Okay. And Eternal has a waiting solution, and Big Dog says is literally just distilled water.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Like I said, it's not something I ever would have considered or bought originally. I used to just thin them with water. Or really just with my rinse cup, I would just like dip in the ink and then just dip a little bit in my rinse cup. It's funny, like over time, and I think, you know, you guys can tell how much I kind of blend color anyways in the skin. I used to worry when I was a beginning tattooer about either ink, not like dipping it in water, like thinning it too much so I couldn't get a solid, you know, like field of color, or I would worry about if I had a little bit of another color in the tube and I dipped in, you know, if I had, say a little bit of green in the tube and I dipped in my blue, I would always like completely rinse out my tube before I dipped in another color. And I found over the years that you just don't notice any of that. Whenever the tattoo's settled in and healed, it isn't that sensitive. And, you know, one thing you have to consider is the person's skin tone is really affecting it all so much anyways, that, you know, the idea that you might, you know, that you're not getting a true lavender in there, that you've got a little bit of that. Like, say I just dipped back in the lavender, but I've still got a little bit of that red color, this color in there. But, I mean, you can't tell that. Plus, I'm blending out of it anyways, so it kind of helps to have a little bit of that color in it. So I'm gonna leave. What I've been doing in all of this piece is I'm leaving most of my lightest lights. I don't know if you can see, but like this bird's already kind of healed from our first pass. I've left most of my lightest lights as skin tone, kind of all the way through the tattoo. So when I come back and I do my final pass of color, I can use those to kind of tie everything together. So whatever, you know, if I need to pull some of this green into into a tuft of hair just so that they look like they belong together, I can do it. So I won't fill this thing completely. I'll leave some of it hollow.
Jason Trevino just said I like to keep my tip pretty muddy when going from color to color. It looks more cohesive and you get happy accidents.
Yeah, I agree. Happy accidents. Yep, I'm the same way. I don't really rinse my tube all that much. Like, see, whatever that color is right there that I was putting the skin, I don't know what that is, but it looks good. It's like I dipped in a little bit of purple, or I dipped in a little bit of green, like bright green, and I already had purple in the tube, and so now it made that, like, you know, that little murky in-between color, which I would have never, like, if I was trying to guess what color that was going to be, and I was looking at the colors in my, you know, in my setup, I would never, first off, that color wouldn't even be in there. I wouldn't know what it was, and if I did see it, I wouldn't know to use it. You just have to stumble upon it. Like you said, happy accidents.
Big Dog mentioned he thinks that's why people get confused a lot with color. They're not accounting for the client's skin tone.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Accounting for the client's skin tone is another reason that I tend to use in these bigger pieces that I do these kind of first pass of color, quick color, because a lot of times you think, I mean, you know, Grant's a light, you know, he's a light complected guy for the most part, and you think that a color is going to heal a certain way in the skin, and if you're dependent on that color being like a punchy color, and it heals dingy, then, you know, it can kind of cost you the tattoo, really. I mean, if it's like a focal point. So that's why I like to go in and kind of just lightly lay the colors in the first time around so that I can manipulate them, you know, as we go. Well, like even this piece up here, are we on, where do you think? Let's see. All right, so at the very top of this thing, here, Grant, you can just can you lean forward just a little bit? So this little flame right there, I went back in, I had it done more in these like, more in yellows, and I went back and did it in green and outlined it in this kind of purpley red because I want it to be a focal point, and whenever it healed I could tell it wasn't going to look very saturated in its skin. So you see that? I'll turn a little bit more. Yeah, it wasn't going to be very saturated looking in his skin. It just, for whatever reason, I mean, partially it's because there are a couple of reasons for that in this case. It's that it was surrounded by other light areas. If I would surrounded this thing with a bunch of dark, then it would have probably popped and done just fine. But I wanted it to give this glow like out and up, so I needed light areas around it. And then another issue is on his outer arm, which is always going to be a little bit, you know, more tan and darker and rougher than an inner arm. So today, even though I'm not really going back and dealing with any of this stuff today, I'll do that in our final sitting, but I did at least want to go through and outline it and punch it up with a little bit of green so that I could see what it was going to look like against this stuff that I am working on today. But if I hadn't gone through and done these kind of first pass color washes, I probably wouldn't have known that. So, yeah, exactly. Good point, Jake. All right, let's see here. So I'm gonna go. You can scoot back again if you want to. Sorry, I've got you still all leaning forward. The back side of this bird. I'm gonna transition him a little bit more. I'm gonna take him back more to blues. There we go. So I'll go from this back.
Big Dog wants to know what you think about what's going on in the UK with the ink ban.
You know, I'm going to learn, I guess, more about that this next week. I don't. Apparently, they've given the manufacturers some time to like make their case. Is the last thing that I had heard. So I guess there's a kind of a hold right now on the ban, if I heard that right. And we at Paradise next week, the Paradise Gathering. There's a panel of there's a science panel, a panel of experts that are going to talk about that. So I hope I have a better idea. I think that Mario Barth is going to jump in on that, and then a handful of other people who are not even in the tattoo industry, who are straight up like scientists who are working on this problem. So I don't really know. My first thought is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've never, in all the thousands and thousands of tattoos I've done, I've had so few people that have had ink reactions, like almost none of them, that I can't imagine it's that big of a deal. But I also know that these kind of regulatory bodies, they're like, what's the term that I'm looking for? They're like, oh shit, I lost my words. Like they have to prepare for things to go wrong in masses. So like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like if you, so as more and more people get tattooed,
Super cautious and diligent.
yeah, as more and more people get tattooed, they have to expect that, like, all right, if we ended up with, 500 people in the hospital, at the same time that all got tattooed, like, what would we even know where to start and what to do? I get that could be a, as you look at a population that's like more and more heavily tattooed, I get that kind of concern that you kind of have to I mean, if someone walked into a hospital and were having a crazy ink reaction, would in the US can a doctor even tell what is in it, like what they might be having a reaction to? I don't know. Hope to learn all that stuff in this this coming weekend or next weekend.
Yeah, he was saying inks are banned already, but they're looking at people's input so they can make a final determination on whether they're going to stay.
Yeah, and I think part of that input is like they're supposed to be looking for what alternatives might be out there. The manufacturers are, so I guess we'll learn if there are any decent alternatives. I don't know.
Yeah, the dog said he's 56 and tapping well, never heard of any.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I feel like it's all kind of for nothing to me, but then again, I'm also going on a very small sample set, just my experience and the people in my immediate, kind of group, people that I've tattooed around. I don't know as a whole what kind of issues are out there. I rarely hear of any ink related issues from like reputable manufacturers. We used to have some years ago. I can remember like a handful of the Starbright colors that they're red in particular. I had a crazy reaction to it on my on this like tattoo right here that Nick Baxter did a long time ago. He's actually redone it since then, but he used a Starbright red in these in this area, and it blistered all up on me. And every time, and for years, every time it would get sun, it would like little blisters would pop up again. It would just burn like an acid burn. So definitely it did happen some, but not too much. In fact, that was like one of the real culprits, was that particular red. It was unfortunate because it was bright. It was an awesome red, except for the acid burns and stuff.
Yeah.
Once a year.
Right. If you can live with that, badass. Come in and lay a few little textures in here. And then I'll just blast right over them with something. So big dog said he's been tattooing for what? It's for 30 something years?
Well, he said he was 56.
Oh, 56. Oh, okay. So, gotcha. Yeah, never see too many issues with that. Speaking of that science panel, that will be part of the main stage at the Paradise retreat next weekend, and it's all available virtually. I think that they are selling the main stage tickets for $100 for all 4 days, and you get everything that's on the main stage, and it's all like it's all streamed, and then you can go back and watch it later too. So it's pretty cool. It's should be a good event. They had to move it all online just because when it was first being planned, everything seemed cool with traveling and COVID, and then the wheel started to come off, so they had to change course a little bit. Right.
Someone asked if we knew any artists or shops in Hawaii looking for apprentices. Unfortunately.
Apprentices. No, who's in Hawaii is Trips. Trips
yeah.
Kai that used to be he used to be an Ink and Dagger, super cool guy. He has a shop in Hawaii, specializes in like Polynesian style tattooing. I don't know if he's looking for apprentices, but you can tell him that we sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He helped me one time whenever I was tattooing at Ink and Dagger, which is Russ Abbott's shop down in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, and someone came in and wanted. I wasn't booked up. I was like, I guess I was taking walk-ins, or maybe I had a free day or something, and someone wanted to get a Polynesian style tattoo, and they came to me to get it, with Trips being like a Polynesian specialist. And it turns out it was for a legit reason, because Trips was booked out forever doing Polynesian tattoos, and they're like, well, maybe this dude can do one. So literally sitting right next to the dude was like, man, I don't know how to draw these things. So he helped me draw a Polynesian tattoo. Yeah, kind of drew it right on the skin. Thanks, bro. But yeah, he has since moved on and is at his own place in Hawaii, as far as I know. Last time I saw him, at least, which was at some show before COVID. That stuff is, Polynesian tattoos. They're tedious, and I think they look pretty cool no matter what. But people who do them really, really well, they're like super dark and crisp and clean. Those tattoos are so crazy good. Jerry, your cousin, his is awesome. His was done by Samoan Mike down in Florida or something, and that tattoo's got to be, how old? It's got to be 10 years old, right? At least. And it still looks freaking crazy good. It's so, yeah, it's amazing. And apparently, all that dude did was like it's not a full sleeve. It's just the lower half of his arm, right? It's from here to here.
He's got it all.
It goes up, but he had some existing tattoos, because I'd done some tattoos up high. I think it's half. Yeah, so I think it starts. Whatever it is, it's a big piece. It's like maybe it's this long. And from what he says, that dude just took like a Sharpie and just did like one line like that, and then another line like that, and just drew a few like big sweeping lines. No stencil, no anything. Just comes in with a tattoo machine and starts doing little like off of the lines. He like runs the line and then starts doing little like shark teeth, tortoise shell, just with a tattoo machine, no marker. He's just like following, and that thing looks like it was designed in Procreate or something. Mm-hmm. It's that tight. I guess.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, if that's all you do, then that's what you do, I guess. Yeah, he's good at it, that's for sure. That piece, for real, it's got to be a decade old, and every time I see it, I'm like, shit, man. He's got another piece, that arm from Samoan Mike. This is a guy that I've been tattooing a while, who's Grant, my client today, his cousin. He has another forearm half sleeve by Tim Hendricks. Yeah, that's like this.
The New York guy.
Yeah, the New York guy, like black and gray, soft, like Virgin Mary with these like maybe these lions and stuff. Lions. God, it's so good, and that one's just as old, and it still looks so good. And then a bunch of my tattoos, all crammed up against those things. Gotta get used to that stuff, man. Unfortunately. It's always intimidating whenever you see somebody like when someone comes to get tattooed by you and they're like covered in awesome tattoos by all of your favorite tattooers. Andy Chambers just figured. I mean, which Andy's awesome himself, but he just finished up a sleeve not too long ago on a guy who was at the exact same time getting his back done by Steve Moore. So like Andy, he's like, so not only was Steve's the tattoo like twice the size because it's a full back, and so awesome. He was like, he also finished it faster than I finished the sleeve. Like, yeah. Like, oh shit. Oh well.
Did you ever put a tattoo on? Wasn't that guy Pat? Wasn't he a collector of some sort that helped us with audio?
Oh no, I never tattooed him. He does, yeah. He's a collector. He has a full back by Jesse Smith.
I thought you had done something.
No, he asked whenever we at some show convention we were going to do it, and I forget what happened. Either our schedules didn't line up or whatever. Yeah, nice guy. He handled our editing for a little, or our audio whenever we were having such terrible audio issues when we first started the podcast. Yep, Patrick. Drawing a blank on his last name. Nice dude. Yeah, he has awesome tattoos. He has.
Yeah, really good. I was thinking that you
No.
put one on him too.
No.
Yeah, that would be intimidating.
Yeah, he had Jesse Smith collaborated with someone on his back piece, and it's really, really good. And I think he has a piece from Gunner. Russ, yeah. Yeah, he's got really good tattoos. Someone else that I didn't tattoo, but I was we were working alongside of was the dude that runs the Tattoo Snob Instagram page. Not Kevin, but his brother. There are two of them that run it. And he has a sleeve, like these two of the best looking sleeves I've ever seen in real life. One's from Russ and one's from Aaron Della Vedova, and they are both so good and settled in, and like both kind of like ornamental, kind of filigree stuff. They're both freaking awesome. Hard to trust tattooers who only have really good tattoos, you know. I have very few good tattoos, which is what makes me a real tattooer. They're getting better though. All my latest tattoos are a lot better. I didn't really intend to pull all this limey green that far down, but I think I like it. The only thing I'm questioning is like how straight it is right there, but no big deal. No big deal. All right, let's get into this lion's leg. How long are we on the stream?
We are an hour and a half in.
Oh wow, shit. Well, you don't have to keep it running this long if you don't want. And we're just doing them for an hour, so whatever you guys want. If there's any more questions out there, we can. Otherwise, we could just show where we stand and maybe do a once-over shot of the whole thing and wrap it up. Okay. Whatever you guys want to do. I'm here for another little while, anyways, and so is Grant. We still got a little bit to do. Not a ton though. Just leaves in the back of a bird. Mostly leaves. Because a lot of this stays negative for now.
Okay.
Alright. Let's see here. Where are we going next? Go into this. Orange, just a little. And those camera shots look good. They look kind of jerky, but I don't know if they actually are or not. You think they're really jerky on?
I don't know if on the actual playback when you're moving like that.
Yeah. If anyone has any suggestions about what we could do on these webcasts or live streams, I should say, to make them better, let us know, because we're hoping to keep doing them. That's our goal. And hopefully they'll stay up and people can just keep watching them.
Yeah.
So if they can't make it during the actual live stream. That's provided we don't put any more booties or boobs or anything on their live streams.
Everybody's saying that.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll try to do it again. I don't know if we'll do one next week because we'll be getting ready to go to Paradise. We'll see. Stay tuned. Awesome. How many viewers did we end up with overall?